Can I hear you? There we go.
I guess we'll call the meeting to order at 5:20. Welcome Brian and Mark via Zoom.
All right, I can hear you now.
Yeah, same here.
Sorry we were a bit late. We were giving you a few minutes to show up here. We never looked up at the computer screen. Are there any changes to this current agenda? I saw none. You did a very wonderful job as you continue to do.
Thank you. I just don't know if we need to discuss Leslie's email.
I don't think we have to yet.
Okay. Thank you.
You may want to bring your microphone a little closer to, just so that Mark and Brian can hear you better.
Perfect. And now we will move over to review the findings report and the PowerPoint.
Yeah, very good. I think perhaps the start of it is status of where we are with the presentation. I know, I think Allison, you had made some edits, and now I think it's sort of this a point where I think you guys have the PowerPoint template and are able to make live edits to that. If there's any content areas that specifically I need to make a formatting change to, I'm certainly happy to do that. But I'm glad to see, for instance, I think the whole mission vision has been placed in the PowerPoint now at the front of it, and so I guess the other suggestions were or comments on the what the next steps are, or the recommended charge that was in question, and also the last remaining item also I think was the whether we put comments specifically from the focus group into just a summary page of those. So I'll I guess Allison, I don't know if you want to add to that or not.
Sure. So I compared it I compared the PowerPoint to some of the notes we took last time. I am not in the meeting on Zoom right now. I can and share if we want to look at it. The only couple of things that jumped out to me, one was Ryan asked for us to increase those couple of slides where it was so condensed he couldn't read the headers of the columns. So Mark did expand them onto 2 pages. I don't know if that's the way the formatting that we want to go. I did try to mess with it to flip it the other way, like he said, but then it just looked all wonky and harder to read. So I think we probably go with that. But if we go to those pages, one of the things I was thinking is he had also asked for a breakdown of what that 170 or 117 other bucket was. And I was thinking, I don't know if Brian has had a chance to pull that information, but I thought that might be a good place in the presentation to put that detail of what's in that 117 bucket. Mm-hmm. Mark also reminded me that we were going to put quotes from 2 places. One was from the focus groups and one was from the response to the surveys. And I think you pulled quotes from the responses to the surveys. Yes. So do we want to go back and get quotes from the focus groups, or do we think that Lynn's quotes are sufficient? And then the only other thing I would say is that we just look as a group to those last 2 pages where I put in a recap of what our ask was and what I put as a first draft to a new chart.
Mark, can we go back a couple slides to the one that Allison was originally?
It's 14 and 15.
Yeah, just so we could see the way the select board would be looking at it on the projector.
I highlighted this because it keeps coming up because it was so tiny. We kept talking about what is the base facility. So I highlighted it in yellow. Great. So we would have that kind of stand out what the base facility was. So
and I think I can say that we can provide the select board with a copy like what's here, with up and down, so that they'll have in front of them more legible. And this will be in the meeting packet or
I was gonna
anything.
say, yeah, if it's ready in advance, ideally, next Wednesday, if we put the packet together with the select board, they can actually have this in advance to look at.
I can give them this type of a project, and I mean, as you know, in PowerPoint, you can even do one page with notes if we want. So it's really how you want to present it to them.
Well, if we go to the next page, Mark. That's where I left the potential spot. So that 117 right there, some other type of facility was what we wanted a breakdown on. And if we're able to get that from the data from the survey, we could do a recap over to the right and say what that 117 is and highlight it so that we can have it for the select board. Is that-
Well, I got good news for you. You've already got the answer to this.
Oh, okay.
So it could make, and again, if you go back to the prior slide,
14,
it's like it's like the thing is, it's like oddly enough, the most commonly mentioned things were basketball court, pickleball. And it's possible because basically then when they read through it and then they saw, they didn't remember that we're already going to have basketball courts and pickleball. So those are the two. That's other than one other one, which is there are some, the other one that's kind of an indoor type activity got frequent was an ice rink.
And that's kind of what we thought, but we were hoping to take that 117 and say 50 people said ice rink, 30 people said indoor basketball court or whatever,
Okay.
because he really wanted to know what
What
the
it was.
exact numbers of that 117 were.
Okay. I mean, I can certainly do that. But like I said, I presume it's like with the basketball court, something you're already offering. And
Right.
the pickleball court is something you're already offering. And
Yeah,
that,
that's what we
that-
told at the last meeting, but
And that actually accounts for a good number of them. So the other one, it's like that, maybe not specific. Okay. Ice arena again, that is, yeah, that's like, there are quite a few.
okay.
You're looking at, 15 to 20 mentioning ice arena or some variation of that. But I can run through and by tomorrow I'll give you just an actual count. But again, I
Yeah.
figured since you already have basketball and pickleball covered, there's really no reason to necessarily reiterate that because those are already included basically in the facility that you're building.
Sure. It could just be a side note for what we say that's
Yeah,
not.
And again, it's large because you said, here's the base facility, we'll have this, this, and this, and then they put to another screen and answered a question. And didn't think back to the fact they said, oh yeah, they already said they're gonna have basketball courts and pickleball.
Because he specifically asked for it, I think we should call it up.
Yep, I can see that too. So there are some other facilities, but I presume it's like there's a fair number mentioning senior or it's like adult daycare or senior center or senior space.
Yeah, all I'm suggesting is that when it comes up.
Yeah.
Whoever the presenter is just knows.
Yep.
Okay, like I said, I'll run through this and tomorrow I'll give you just a count. It says how many
Just
people
good.
said basketball, how many people said pickleball. Like I said, there are a bunch of other things like tennis courts and that may be outside the scope of what you're thinking of offering.
I will say that the report itself, I've put all the responses by question in an appendix. And so they'll have, happens to be, I think, the direct responses, Brian, that
Yeah.
everyone came up with. And so so they have all of the actual responses to question 3. There were 119.
Okay,
I guess I didn't see that.
So, but you can see basically it's like you have things that you're already covered with basketball and pickleball. You have probably ice rink or ice arena is the next big one. Some variation of senior center or senior services. It's probably next on the list. And then again, there are a fair number of let's build some stuff outdoors too.
I mean, we could, it's, you guys can chime in. If we're already providing this, we can just make that little comment to the side that says other is primarily made up of ice rink, a different version of a basketball court and some sort of outdoor activity, but included in your packet is the breakdown to every single
Yeah.
question.
And then like the one that might be, it's like senior center or senior services. Is the other one that kind of jumped out as being fairly frequent. So
Was I hearing that correctly, that the appendix was exactly what we're looking
Think so.
for? Okay. And it's already gonna be attached, that's great. Yeah, wonderful.
So I have just changed that slide just a little bit to just kind of note that it's in the appendix
Yeah.
as well.
Nice. Great. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
What do we feel about more quotes? Do we want more quotes? Do we feel like the quotes that we have is sufficient?
I personally think the quotes we have are sufficient. I think they really capture. Kind of just gets the point.
Again, all that information is, people can really dive in if they want more.
Correct. That the appendix will also does now have every single transcript from the focus groups too.
Okay, then Mark.
So if they want to really dig down, they'll have all of that.
We also still have the quotes on one page. We talked at one point about splitting the quotes up and using them as section dividers. I certainly can do that. But I went and made the quote page just kind of italicized them and moved them around and just made them look pretty. So if we're good with it, then I think we just delete this picture.
Great.
Do you think the report will be ready for next Wednesday? Mark?
Yeah, it's in final format here. So in fact, I'd like to send it to everyone certainly by the end of this week so that you can all comment before you need it to put into the packet.
Perfect.
Good.
So
But we're gonna
then-
delete this slide, as I understand.
Delete.
Gone.
I also broke out that last section right there because from our conversation last time, we had a lot of questions about, oh, where did you get the people for the focus groups? So we had them in a nice long list. I bulleted them out because apparently people, it helps to draw your eyes to the list and calls out, here are all the things that we did.
Okay.
And then the next one does still the Easter egg. And then if we can go to the last two slides. What I was trying to do was take the information as it was originally presented, and I didn't have copies of it, so I reached out to Pam and said, hey, what do we have on file that says how this committee was started? And she sent me a copy of the letter that was sent to everybody that was originally on the committee. And so I read through it, and basically they said, do this, then do this. And so we are still in the do this bucket. And so I basically said that based on this, we would recommend we would move forward. And then I listed out everything that was in the, and then do this bucket. And that's what this is all here. And so that all came from that original welcome letter to the community center committee. So that's everything that's in there. And so then I said, okay, if we're gonna take that, my suggestion would be then to write the charge, which is the next page, which says based on that. And I guess this is probably where I'm gonna need some help from you, is I said, we're not gonna be able to build the building. We're not gonna be able to sign off on designing the building. So our thing is gonna be continue to work with the town to help find a space, continue to work with Harriman and to help design a space. Assist in drafting ideas for fundraising options. We can't fully fundraise until we know this is how much we want to fundraise, and this is the building, and this is where it's going, and this is the design. To continue to review other local community centers to gain insight into the best approach with overall operating costs, fundraising, recommended management of the facility. TCC to also draft fundraising ideas, including potential local partnerships, community outreach, and other projects. So if we gather all this information, then if we have a spot and we have a design and we have a space, then it has to go to the town to vote on, correct? We can't really do anything until that happens.
Yeah, I think this is too many steps at once.
Okay.
Might scare some of the select board.
Okay.
So here's what my thoughts are, is one of the things that we need is to get, space picked up. So I think I might take out the word continue, but say, work with town management and the select board to investigate, potential land locations like that. Then, once we pick the land location, we need to get, and Mark, I'm not putting you on the spot right now, but those of you on the committee before might remember, we kind of split Harriman's contract. So initially, the contract was to do what Mark's done, but it was also to give us potential design and cost ideas. So we need the select board to engage Harriman to finish that. We also, I think, want to give Mark a chance to perhaps adjust his quote, because it's been a year later, you know, perhaps the costs have raised and stuff.
Okay.
I think we could adjust it somewhat, and that would be fine, because it's finishing what we started, and we already put it up for RFP before. But if we expanded it too much, or the cost jumped too much, they might say we want to go back to RFP, but I think, you know, we'll let Mark decide what he wants to do. But I think we could continue with that.
So
that
do you
would be a
think you change number 2 to engage with Harriman to review second?
I'd say after site selected,
Okay,
and Mark, correct me if you think there's much you can do before the site selected, but after site selected, work with consultant to determine, design and potential costs, something like that.
Yeah, I think there is a portion that we can do before knowing the site, but it's limited. We essentially can start to list all the spaces and what we would need inside all of the spaces, but you can't lay any of the spaces out until we know what the site is going to be.
So in that regard, then, maybe we could keep Mark on sooner. So Mark, if you wanted to think about what your price would be to finish what we started, we could potentially get that on the agenda for the same meeting.
Next Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that could be, you know, essentially, I think we drafted what the scope is, so I'll just go back and look at that scope. And then, it would be great if, you know, all it is a modification to, here's an adjustment because it's been a year, something to that effect. That way they've all seen it and, or may have seen it, I guess, and it's essentially just following through with the plan from the beginning.
Because based on the original RFP, everyone liked, you know, obviously liked Harriman, and we've been very happy to follow the work. Then I think there's nothing wrong with coming up with ideas for funding opportunities, nothing wrong with continuing to look at community centers.
I think 5 is a repeat of 3, so maybe we just, I threw that in because of Anne's comments that she really wanted to know if we were gonna bring up fundraising, how we were gonna fund.
And I think it's hard to get real specific until again we know the site.
Right.
The last night was their first night. Kind of it's been an effort townwide that they're going to each committee and trying to focus in on a charge and a term and figure out. The one last Thursday night was invite the pedestrian committee, and if anything, they were concerned maybe the committee had too much to do.
Okay.
So if you needed to shrink some of this, I think that would be fine. I would not put the town meeting part on yet.
Okay.
Because we can always have a special town meeting if we had to, you know, so it doesn't necessarily have to be for next May. And I also think they're not gonna want to commit to put something in town meeting until they know what it is gonna cost.
I think that, but I still think we need to have a goal. Because the original letter, even though it didn't work out that way, indicated that the hopes was that phase 1 of the work would be.
Was a letter that Rich had written.
So we're 4 town managers ago and.
I know.
But you know, Mark knows what I shared. I mean, I shared the original letter just to kind of give Allison a basis to work off of.
Yeah. So I would put it, I think you're gonna get the people that are in opposition to this up in arms. They think we're trying to ram something together for May without knowing what it's gonna cost and where. I think it would stir up a lot of unneeded opposition. So I think, in the words of, I can tell them, the CPIC, the same thing. In the words of Ernest and Julio Gallo, we'll sell no wine before it's time. I don't think we want to get too firm a time frame until we're so we've got to, people know where we're going.
Could we put approximate goal of 1 year?
I think that's fine, just put a term. You know, because you think you can finish this in 1 year, so we'd like a 1 year term to get this done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. I think we have to put something because that's what was said originally and because Anne specifically.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to watch out for the things that they specifically
Right.
asked us when they came last time, and she said, write your own charge because you guys know the committee, you guys know what next steps would be. Include specifically what you would be doing if you were continued and for how long it would be. So we could say approximately.
Yeah, I mean, we call it a term. We also want to, and I think it's not just a little one-sided thing, but I'll throw in some language saying that the current committee members would continue, you know, or something like that, so that you don't have to reapply.
On number 4, just to please me, could you make it community centers?
Sure.
Thank you.
Actually, I think Mark's doing, there you go. Done.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is probably more than you want to throw in, just something I socialized with Pam a little bit was, one thing I heard during the focus groups is people would like to try some new programs, new ideas and things. So, and I don't think we want a recreation committee at this point because we have too many committees and staff. But perhaps there might be, and maybe it's not this chart, maybe it only comes after this, but there may be some type of a role as far as facilitating public conversation about what would you like to see your rec department do or something. We make it new.
What is space?
Obviously, there's limits to staff, space, and whatever currently, but sometimes people just have one idea. It doesn't take much staff or money, but I'd like to see my town do this. That might be something that could be added in, but again, you also have to play this.
Well, like I said, I just wanted to put something down. I didn't want us to come into this meeting today with a blank slate and say, okay, let's write a charge. So, and I've never done it before, but I just tried to take what I saw they asked of us the first time and put it in new words. And so I think it captures it.
I'm very happy with what you have put together. The only thing that I'm just gonna kind of throw out there, should we put a little blurb in there since we have fundraising? Should we put anything about grant money
So,
or looking into grant money?
So if you go back to the slide before,
Or did I miss?
on the slide before, it says.
Oh, okay, all right,
Funding options based
Okay,
on
so I didn't miss it.
grants, fundraising and.
got it. Okay, perfect, thank you.
there's a group called the Mid-Coast Council of Governments. It's the executive director, it's a guy named Matt Eddy, that years ago was the Brunswick planning director and things. And we pay a membership into this group through Saginaw County. We pay Saginaw County joins it on behalf of all our towns. And well, he talks about regional planning efforts and things. So he came down about 3 or 4 months ago, meeting to talk about railroad tracks that go behind Lynn's house. Just
Yeah.
go up to Augusta eventually. They call it the lower road. And there's been a commission that's been meeting to try to find a way to turn that into a rail trail, maybe without the rail. Right now, they seem to be kind of not that thrilled with ATV uses, but that may change or parks may allow it. So there's still not finalized what it would look like in the end. But it's starting to gain momentum, and I guess they're expecting DOT is to put a bill in when the legislature comes back to abandon the railroad tracks there and allow this to start going and try to start finding funding to make it happen. So they're looking for towns that can kind of anchor this trail into their downtowns for not necessarily commuter reasons, but for improving pedestrian and recreational opportunities. And they like the fact that in Topsham it would connect right to Elm Street. So then, as I was talking to them, I said, one of our potential sites for community center may be that 20-acre piece that abuts the rail trail, and then goes, so the trail could connect to places. Also talking about what we're doing in Tedford Road, that we're in the process of trying to get sidewalks on Tedford Road, talked about the long-range plans for the Highlands, the back of Audubon Lane. It's likely to eventually become a public road. And then same thing for the rest of Can-Am, so we'd have a connection that goes all the way from 201 back to Tedford Road. With the rail trail, you could actually now get under 201, so you wouldn't have to have an overpass. So there's all kinds of pieces that could fit together. He got all excited about it. And he said, I think that's something that the Mid-Coast Council of Governments would like to work with Topsham. He's invited us to come present some of the ideas to an upcoming meeting of MCOG. But he's aware, he said he thinks there's some rural development money that either may involve like low interest loans or may involve some grants or combinations of both to help fund community centers. So there potentially could be different funding sources for the trail itself and some like transportation related things. There might be something towards the community center. So if we get the go ahead at the first select board meeting, he may come as soon as the select board meeting to start talking about the town and probably.
Interesting. And the rail trail might end up helping secure that land in a way, right? Because it was sort of being held for, I forget what you said, it was recreational use purposes.
Right now, DOT says it has to be used for picnic area or rest stop purposes. But what they told me 8 months ago is that they think they could take off that part, so we just have to still be civic purposes. So we can't give it to the fairgrounds. We have to keep it the town's name, but it could be a community. So they're working on that. A lot of things to go along the way, but there's some potential that it could be a big improvement project for all of them. So it's connectivity.
That would be awesome. Just on a side note, where do I go to get more information about that rail trail since it's in my backyard?
I'll let you know which meeting, but Victor Jello, who on our conservation commission, is one of the people on the commission. He's going to do a presentation for the select board, probably either the second meeting in September or the first one.
Okay, yeah, because I would definitely want to know what's happening there. Thank you.
At this point, what the majority of the commission has voted for is they'd like to take up the tracks and have it be bike and walking. So kind of like the.
Oh, okay, all right.
There's been some people that have asked to have equestrian indoor ATV use. They were the minority, and so it looks like the entire trip might not be that. And maybe in this places with this double tracks, right? Maybe there's some portion. So that's all yet to be worked out. And at the moment, it's equestrian and ATV are not winning, so to speak.
Gotcha.
And there was, I guess, some also talk about keeping the tracks and trying to go beside it. But especially in the underpass on 196, there's not room for that. So at this point, they're leaning more towards taking the tracks up.
Wow, yeah.
A lot of potentials.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the second, I guess this aspect of this right here, it sounds like there's still a little bit of wordsmithing that has to go into that.
How about just change it to, we request a 1-year term to accomplish the above.
Then we're gonna combine 3 and 5.
Yeah. Then delete that sentence below it. And then on 5, it says fundraising ideas including, I was just gonna copy that and put it at the end of 3. I think 3 and 5 are kind of duplicates. I just put more detail on. At the end of 3. Assisted drafting ideas for fundraising opportunities, including. And then delete that. Yeah. And you can take off the drafts.
And like I said, I'm gonna highlight this here, that I'll just, identify that extension or to enter into I guess, or to release Harriman to do the second part of the proposal, something to that effect.
And take off the draft on the page before too.
Yeah, yep, very good.
So that's what I have.
Thank
So,
you.
like I said, I suggested top 5 seemed like a reasonable number in that whole
Yeah.
117, 119 here. Great.
Yep.
Excellent. Then I think that pretty much wraps up this.
Oh, I added a picture too. I added this. I added a picture and our mission statement because I thought that was a better way to kick it off.
That's great.
That's what I do at work. I make it pretty.
Well done.
We should end with a picture.
Should.
It's your last.
So another homework for Allison maybe to make it look pretty at the end. So good.
I think we leave them with what we want. We want them to re-up the committee. Yeah, and keep and build the communities.
Awesome.
So I guess that kind of means 3 and 4 are once again back on our agenda.
All right. The
Yeah.
other aspect I thought I would do is certainly just roll through the contents of the report, and in particular, the front end of the report here. And let's see, I think this is going to work. I'll try to blow it up here because I'm not sure how big it is. So the outline of the report is simply the introduction, which is really an executive summary of the process here. The second one is just the inventory of the existing programs and facilities. The third is the townwide feasibility survey, which is the meat of what really this whole aspect is about. And then lastly, comparative facilities, but right now, I don't know if that still holds to have as a section in the report or not. I think we have All Saints multi-purpose facility, and if others have information from other trips or visits, then we can include that as well.
So I have the operational budget that I got from Wisconsin, but they don't separate the operation of the building from their programming. It's all inclusive budget. It's in their annual budget. So it's hard to break it down. It's a 2-page document that I can email tomorrow. Lisbon, I have not gotten, and Mark, we talked about Waterville Winslow, but I think that kind of would fit into the second phase because Waterville Winslow is really Boys and Girls Club and YMCA and those partnerships to make the whole thing work together.
Exactly.
So
I think maybe this holds off till the second phase of our work.
What I was thinking too, do we want to call it out now or do we want to?
I don't know if I would. It's up to you. This is your report. And I don't want to, what do you think?
My advice would be wait.
Yeah.
I think you could be much more powerful to have 4 or 5 places.
Yeah, I agree.
Lily.
So then we also just start off with acknowledgements of the individuals that have been involved in the process here. And so just want to make sure we've got everyone here that we should have identified.
Can you go next to my name? It says Treasurer Linda.
Oh, well, yeah, that's you're not thank you.
And not to be a pain in the butt, but D is capitalized in my last name.
No, that's
Thank you.
there we go.
Is that on the website? Is that wrong?
I'm not sure where that came from, but
Okay.
My guess is that it's correct on the website.
Okay,
And then, did I butcher anything here?
Don't be so sure.
No, I think we've been experimenting. Our site is more up to date than most are, thank you.
All right.
do we want to say, I'm just throwing it out there, do we want to say current? Because you had a lot of other participants.
Yeah, that
and
probably
members
over being respectful.
I might say current, no, I might say current Topsom Community Center Committee.
Yeah.
All right, great. So then it moves into an introduction of when it started. And again, we won't go through every single item here, but I can forward it to everyone for further review. Again, this is just the introduction, scope of what was actually done for the project, survey results. And then I'll rewrite the next steps. This was based on those 2 slides that we just ended up looking at again, but I think this was the idea of what sort of is the next part of this entire process here, or this getting into it. So I'll rewrite that as well. So that right there is a very quick in 5 or 6 pages here, what the whole PowerPoint describes, and also what they'll find as detail in the study itself. And so then it moves on to the existing programs and facilities, which identifies pretty much, again, the information that we have in the PowerPoint, be included in that. Then we get into the actual feasibility survey, where we have the focus group section, which is still being put into the copy, but then we have the actual survey itself. And so they'll have each of the slides, and there's a graphic that goes to each one of them, and it identifies the question and the number of responses, and the graphic sometimes comes in and out, but it identifies the responses to that. And then, so it goes through every single question, and then it tells them to see the appendix for the responses. And so again, every slide is the question and the responses of the survey itself. And then the appendix, as I mentioned, has 2 items in it. One is the survey responses, and so for each question, it's broken down to all of the responses to question 2. And I apologize for the fast motion here, but these are all the responses to question 2. Still question 2, broken down by how they responded. So question 2 had all those who do support it, those who do not support it, and those whose support depends. So thank you, Brian, for getting all that.
We're looking at a blank screen.
Oh, whoops, I'm sorry. Then doesn't make any sense to you.
He's looking at his other screen.
Yeah, I figured he was
Yeah,
there.
no, thank you for speaking up. Exactly. So I'm sorry. So question 2 has 485 responses for those who do support the project. It has 3 responses who do not support the project, and then it has the remainder of those whose support depends on
Good.
a number of factors. So question 2, and then we get into question 3, as I mentioned earlier, all the different items that people are looking for. And then question 6, responses. And we're nearly there with the final tally of question 6. So that's that. And then lastly, we do also provide to everyone the focus group. And so that's broken down by focus groups. So focus group 1. You're not seeing a blank screen, right?
No,
Okay, good. And then focus group 2.
So this is just us providing the full transcripts to each of the books.
Exactly. So that the final report, again, anyone could look to see the full content of responses that were received. So I think what it does is it paints a picture of how heavily engaged the process to solicit input from the community is. And so I think that speaks volumes in terms of the support for the community center.
Yeah.
Great.
So Mark, I did not, if you want to include that, there was an additional question that was on the survey.
Which was
is there anything that we should consider? So the question, is there anything else that you'd think the Town of Topsham Community Center should consider in making recommendations to build a community center?
And that was that at the very end, Brian?
Yeah, I think that's actually it's pretty much the last question. Other
Okay.
than it's like, can we get your email?
Yeah, definitely. Is in the spreadsheet, correct?
Yes.
You sent? Okay, I'll make sure that's included. Good.
And I know it's not part of the presentation. Though the one thing I might recommend, there are a fair number of people gave you their email address.
That is not included.
I would not include this as a part of the report. My
Yes.
suggestion is that they were kind enough to provide emails that something go out to, it's like just something goes out to them to keep their interest. Because yeah, if we wait till if you wait till we go through the planning of this, that now they want to help us do something, that maybe by then they'll have forgotten that they've actually agreed to do it. So it doesn't have to be much. I mean, it's just a hi, this is kind of what we're doing, thank you for your interest.
Might actually be good after the select board meeting.
right, once
Then
they
you want-
give the
here's an
next
update on what
chart,
the next step.
yeah.
That's a great idea. Good. So that, again, I can send out the executive summary as soon as I make the modifications based on the 2, I'll call them goal slides. And everyone can look at it and make sure that things are spelled correctly and get back to me. And then we'll wrap up the full report by the end of the week and get that to folks so that it can be reviewed and included in Wednesday's packet.
And I would ask all of you, when you get it, to review it and get it back to Mark by Monday. Because,
Mark Lee.
Mark
Yes.
Lee.
Yeah.
So that we can have the final document ready Wednesday at the latest in the morning. We know someone will be looking for it.
Then you guys have it, you get it into their packet and get it to them. You have to do with that.
Everything is due in the manager's office on Wednesday by noon, actually Tuesday, isn't it now? If you want Rose on your good side, you give it to her Monday, I know.
The afternoon, instead of giving the select board 30 days. So they can read Mark's report.
Right. And all the comments.
And all the comments.
And so you know that whole report and document is going to be in the packet that gets loaded on the website for the Board of Selectmen. So anyone who wants to go and read it ahead of time can. Just so you're not thinking, why are they asking us these questions tonight or that type of thing? People could read it ahead of time and could come and ask questions.
Sounds good.
Nice work.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Presentation.
Teamwork.
So we answered part of number 4.
Correct. Of course, I see now there's 2 number 4s.
So are we officially at 4B?
Yes.
We're officially in 4B now. I was looking at the acknowledgements. I didn't know if we needed to talk at all about the current members' brief. I don't know whether it's important to the select board. Longevity in town,
I don't-
et cetera.
They met you all when they interviewed you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So who are we having get the information submitted to?
We'll take care of that to get it. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that portion.
And number 2, 4B2.
I don't know, Mark, have you in the past done a presentation with the committee, or is it generally been, what's your experience been? Has it been the committee members? You're mute.
Yeah.
You're mute.
Sorry. Thank you. It has been both. It's always, I think, more powerful to certainly be led by a committee member, and then I can be there for backup. But it goes both ways. At times I've done the full presentation as well. So if it wants to be sort of about our deliverable, then I definitely can. I would just maybe ask a foreword by someone, so someone can just hit kind of an introduction and a little bit about the committee's efforts in the last several months, and then I will go through the presentation.
They may have questions for Mark anyway. Too, so obviously it's great that he's there,
Yeah,
but I do think that it should be the committee presenting.
yeah.
I would agree. I think it's gonna be better coming from us than questions for Mark's part of the report can be presented to Mark.
Yeah.
Or directed towards Mark.
I'm confident in any of us presenting.
Don't be confident in me,
I'm confident in you, but I already know you don't want to do it. So that's fine.
I'm a horrible public speaker.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of looking at Allison and you
Yeah,
and thinking Allison's helped to put a lot of this together and worked with it. So she kind of knows it in the back of her head. Forward.
She's available.
And you as one of the chairs, I
Yeah.
think that you guys could kind of
thank you.
co-tag it, or, I mean,
For
are
sure.
you comfortable with that? Are both of you comfortable with that?
I will
We're best together,
certainly be there with you.
No,
Well, I do think it's important that if you can, all of you be here.
Yeah.
Is your,
Well, then it is decided. Perfect. So if just 2 of us are working, we can work together. Well,
You're working.
no. Great, so I guess we already covered number 5 as well, touring other community centers, right?
yeah, Lisbon is more than happy to have us whenever we want to come. Mark Stevens, who is the director up there. Are you guys familiar with what they have up there? It's an old school.
I actually, when you brought it up, it was the first I ever heard.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
had-
I didn't realize it had developed into as much as it has, so. I haven't gotten his financials, but I did get Wiscasset's financials.
That would be interesting. So,
It's a 2-page document, I can email it.
Yeah.
You can try to break it down yourself. I kind of set it scratch in my head.
I have the pool info, but be interesting to see. Great, and good, then we can move right towards our action steps, which I think are kind of, we have one focus right now. That'll be the presentation.
I would say action steps would be available Friday, Monday, when we get the initial draft from Mark Lee and respond. Even if it's all looks good, so that we know that we have everybody's input. Make sure that we've all replied no later than Tuesday night, Wednesday morning,
Well, I would think you'd wanna reply to him
Monday.
Monday,
Okay,
give him Tuesday.
and then he will get it to the town of Topsham by Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. And then we will be
Let's,
available the following week, go to the select board meeting. present.
Thursday night. At 6.
In this room.
And then I think it's hard to pick our next steps or even our next meeting date. You know what the meeting is.
because the meeting date. Good, no, it's like-
Cause either we can get together again, or we can get together to say goodbye.
I'm very.
Cookies.
I was thinking of something more.
I do think we should definitely target the 27th. So we should all have our feedback. Monday would be first thing, Monday would be great. Sunday night, Monday. So our steps are marked. And then our review as well.
And requesting a new charge in addition to presenting the report. Good stuff.
Do we wanna make that an action item?
That's what you gotta do. That's-
Well, I mean, we're gonna do the report in the beginning of the meeting, is that, or are we gonna, is it all gonna be? That's what I kind of
Okay,
wondered.
it's like- Yeah, so that will be an action. item. So your efforts will be kind of bifurcated. So committee reports usually begin in the meeting, so you do your report. And then they'll do public comment or a couple of things, and then they'll get into the agenda. Under the things they have to act on, and we'll put you guys first, but so the first action item would be to consider a new charge.
Do we then have to present the charge again? After we've done it in the,
I think Ian will initiate.
I think do it in your presentation, then they'll probably have questions for you as we get the action item. So you won't have to do it all over. Okay.
How long would we, is there a time frame that the presentation would typically last in the first part?
Just think of people's attention span.
And then,
Most things roughly 10, but if this, this is a pretty big item. And they may have questions. Certainly if they're asking questions, you can feel free to go longer. So, it may end up being 20, 25. If they're asking a lot of questions, 30 or something. You'll get a sense. In general, we have a pretty inquisitive select board. So I think anything, let's say you try to do it in 10 to 15, your initial, you're probably still end up going another 10 to 15 after that.
But I think having a time frame also helps to plan what things we want to say on which slide. We're not gonna wanna say everything on each slide because they've already they've had it for the week. So I think our job will be to pull up the things we specifically know.
Right?
sounds great.
So yes or no on planning a next meeting?
Well, we need to get beyond the action steps first.
Okay, sorry.
Let's review the minutes from July 15th, 2024. I have, no, I'm good with them.
Just one typo on the last page. Number 7 under committee. In parentheses, would be better for our group to write the charge than having the select board write it for instead of if. I
Without classes, it looks just like.
I know, I just never,
And
I'm
Allison-
sorry.
On the. Call to order, you're missing the P for 5:15 PM. The whole thing.
Easy peasy.
Accept minutes. Yes,
Motion.
Yeah.
great, thank you. Next meeting time? You wanna set a tentative date? I'm all right with that,
16th
or
or
else I won't have
23rd?
it, I promise, it'll fill right up if I don't.
Me too.
What'd you say, Pam, the 16th?
16th or the 23rd?
16th is good right now.
Right now, I'm good with either.
Or are you looking, or you want me to?
Pretty sure the 16th.
So, you have something on the 9th, yeah?
No, I just, figured. I mean, if you guys want it, comprehensive plan is in here on the 9th. 16th is free,
Yeah, 16th and 23rd.
so either one can.
Good,
16th.
there it is, awesome.
Same time, 5:15.
You good?
I think we're good.
Anybody have anything else to add?
No.
Sign this thing, all right. We'll call it 6:16, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, Martin, Brian.